All right, hello everyone. Welcome to my first YouTube live stream. I'm used to doing this on Facebook. It's a little different on YouTube. A lot of the settings are different, and stuff like that. So, um, what I wanted to do today was describe what happened this week. 'Cause a little funny thing happened. As many of you know, A-Bomb or Adam Booth bought a shaper, and when he got it to his house and got it unloaded at the shop, he noticed that he was missing a part on it. So he went onto his community page and he posted that he needed a little help looking for this cam plate, and it's this part right here. And so I happened to be off that day. We had a snow day, so I said, "What the heck? Let me Google something right quick and see if I can find something." And lo and behold, it couldn't have been 10 seconds later. On Practical Machinist, another guy was saying that he had a new G&E shaper that needed a part. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, that looks sort of like it, and that looks like the part right there. And I said, well, shoot. So I scrolled on down a little bit, and lo and behold, there was a set of drawings. So I downloaded the drawings, and I mean, they were pretty good. You can tell, of course, it was a cast piece with some machined edges and bosses and stuff like that. And as I scrolled through it, I noticed, at the very end, he said, well, that's a pretty good set of drawing or measurements right there. And I said, well, shoot, I'll just draw that sucker up right quick and post it on the Instagram account. So what I did, I posted it on Instagram and tagged Adam in it. And he said, can you ship it out? And I said, not hardly. I don't have a CNC or anything like that. But I can forward him the model and he could print it. Probably best thing to do would be to 3D print it, make sure it fits his machine, and then he can machine it. I said, I found the dimensions on Practical Machining. And he said, really? He said, is this made correctly? And I said, yeah, I believe it is. So he emailed me. I sent him the file. And what I did in Fusion, I drew it up in Fusion. So this is the first iteration that I drew. And it was just really, really quick. I mean, if I had, 20 minutes in it, if that, maybe 10 minutes, I just drew it up so he could take a really quick look at it, modeled it, rendered it, and posted it on Instagram. And then after we got to talking, he said he'd like to have, the boss that was around here, this section here that was in the original one, right here, this boss right here. So I said, that shouldn't be a problem. So I went ahead and started again. And I drew it to this stage right here, which would probably be the easiest to machine and would probably work. So I drew it to that stage, and then I went ahead and added the boss on it, which was just removing some of this material on the outside here. So we removed that there and then had the radius edges. And the more I thought about it, I said, if I was building it, I would leave it square. And he was thinking the same thing. So I drew it with it being square, but it could definitely probably work even at this stage right here, right there. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it looked really good. It would work. Some of the measurements, I don't know if there's any critical measurements in it. This area right in here where it mates up to his shaper would definitely have to be measured off of his, and then it's nothing to go back and edit the sketch and to add that correct dimension in there. That's one good thing about Fusion. It's nothing to go in there and re-edit this sketch, and you can change this height right here. So to whatever his, whatever that, what do you call that? That boss is out there. But what I thought I'd do today is just show you how I went about drawing it. So I'm just going to start from scratch. Going back to the drawing that the gentleman had sent. From there, most of the measurements are already there. This 0.675 down here on the corner kind of contradicts this one right here, this 0.684. So taking consideration for that, if you start at the top and work your way down, using either set of the measurements, the 684 or the 675 shouldn't matter. So what I normally do is I'm going to start a sketch on a plane, probably the front here, and I usually just start like I would start building something. I'm not a CAD designer by any means. I build stuff. So, looking at that, the rectangle that we would need, and I just use the measurements that he has that they have on there. It's 1.763 plus 1.004 plus 0.675, and that gives you your height. And then you can dimension, hit D on the keyboard for dimension, and it'll give you the length of it. The total length is 8.375. So now we know what that is. And then after you have that, the square box is, if you're looking at it from right here, it's a square box. From this corner all the way down, it's just square. So I try to start like you're going to start if you're going to machine it, or if you're a woodworker, if you're going to cut something out. So it's just easier for me to, this is the way I learned how to draw. I was in woodworking years ago, and I stood over the AutoCAD guy's shoulder for hours, watching him how he drew. And he draws from the basis of how you're going to build it. So if you're going to build it, I think somebody that draws something from a perspective of somebody who is a builder and not just somebody who's an artist, it makes things a little easier. So back to the drawing here, we have our square box. Now we need to give it some depth. And the depth of the thing is 1.944 inches. So I'm just going to spin it around, hit Q, and 1.944. Now we have a square box. It's pretty simple. But now we have to, that is the total size. And, if I was going to machine this part, I would take my piece of metal and I would machine it to that size right there to begin with. You just need two good edges to start with. You don't even have to worry about the other stuff. So I'm sure it was a casting before. So now we need to take some stuff away. So the easiest way to do that is to go back to the measurements and see what he had or what needs to be taken away. Like we need to probably take this part away would probably be my first thing. So going back to Fusion, we need to do another drawing on this plane, which is the front. I'm just going to draw a rectangle. Whoop, maybe not that kind of rectangle. Let's do a 2-point rectangle. Something like that. And I always just draw something rough, and then I go back and dimension it, and it makes it easier for me. So I'm going to dimension this top line, which needs to be, well, going back to this measurement, the drawing, which is exactly the way I did it. So without a calculator, this slot here is 5.187 plus this 790, and I'm assuming that it's this 0.790 here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do, I don't need this dimension though. I need to do this dimension. Apologize for that. Let's do this dimension. Ah, shoot, got to delete that one first. All right, try again. Third time's the charm. So it was 5.187 plus 0.790 plus 0.790. Oh, never fails when you're trying to do something to show somebody. You're going to mess up. So that's that. And then the height of it is, this other dimension is 1.004. I hate to keep on going back and forth, but this 1.004 plus this 6.75 or 0.675. So the height of it, which is this right here, D for dimension, dummy, is 1.004 plus 0.675. So that's that. Now that's that cutout. So all we got to do now to get rid of it is to stop our sketch, and we're going to press, or we're going to erase this part. And the press pull command in Fusion 360 lets you add, take away, and stuff like that. So we're going to cut that away. So now we have that part. And I'm going through it pretty fast, and this is the way I normally do stuff. It's it's fairly simple. It's not that bad. And then on this top part, we need to put these angle pieces on it. These angle pieces right here. So the critical one, I believe, is 18 degrees. He's got it on here. So I'm pretty sure he probably got an accurate measurement off of that. This one, he doesn't have an angle or a length, but we have links from other stuff. So we're not going to worry about this one too much because the angle with this part or this height right here will give us what that needs to be. So I'm just going to draw a line across it, 1.438 from this point up. And then I'm going to draw this line here, and then we'll just go to here and intersect it and trim it off. So the easiest way I know how to do it, we're going to start another sketch, just do a line on this plane, and we're just going to draw a straight line across the thing. So there's a line across it. We're going to end that one, and then we're going to draw another line from here, and we're going to go up 0.444. So that line is there. We're going to draw another line from here. I don't even care where it ends up at. It can be anywhere out here. And then we'll check that. Now we know that it has to be 18 degrees from here to here, or from here to here, or from, however you're going to want to get your 18 degrees. So I'm going to dimension it from here to here. I said it was. D for dimension from here to here. Come on. Let me lay down these papers. Maybe I can do something. Delete this measurement. We're going to dimension from here to here. Oh, come on now. We'll do it from here then. All right, start over. Dimension this line to this line. Here, there we go. 18 degrees, finally. So that's that line. And now we need to set the height from this point to this line. So we'll dimension that from here to here. And that was 1.438. Oh, really? Since I constrained that part to it, that's why that did that. So let's back up. Let's delete this one. All right. So let's draw this line. This is what happens when you do stuff like this. Little things are going to happen. Okay, now let's dimension this from here to here. 1.438. All right. That's how I should have done it to begin with. And then the dimension from here to here should be 18, which it is. So we're going to trim this part of it off here. So I'm going to hit T, and it should trim these parts off. Finally. Sorry about that. We'll get there. Now the other dimension is the start of this angle in the back. So we know from this point to here it's 4.269 plus 3.140. So I'm just going to arbitrarily draw another line from here down to here. Now I'm going to dimension that line from this point to this point is 3.140 plus 4.269. And that places that dimension there. Since I don't know the dimension for this back part here, I just chose 1/2 inch. It could be just a ramp. I'm not exactly sure how that works back there. Looking at some of them, I've looked at other pictures of them. Some of them is just, it goes from this point here to up here as just sort of just a round, and then the other ones are ramped up and straight. So, that'll be left up to the builder to get that part worked out. That part worked out right. So I'm just going to draw a line here. Oops, L for line. From here, 1/2 inch. And then I'll draw another line from here to here. And that'll finish that out. Go ahead and delete that one. I hit the right buttons here. I hit the D key for delete all the time. So that finishes out that part. We can trim this up if it's generally pleasing to you, but it doesn't have to be. So now we want to get rid of that material. So easiest way to do that is to do another press pull. You just pull it away, and that part's done. So it's fairly simple, and you just keep on. You just keep on until you whittle out all the parts that you need. So now let's go ahead and do this this slot right here. So the easiest way to do that again is I just come down 1.5 or 150, and then we'll draw a line, and then we'll do the same thing, and then we'll just draw 2 circles. I'll show you. This is the way I do it. Of course, nothing ever goes right when you're trying to show people. So from this point, let's start another sketch on this plane, and you could probably have done all this on one sketch and then extruded or pulled all the pieces out of it. It's just the way my mind works, and it works for me. So I do it the way I want to do it. If I was doing it for a paying customer or something like that, I don't even know if I'd do it that way. I always do this for myself, so that's the way I'm going to do it. So let's draw another line. L for line. We're going to go from where we're going to go from about right here. And we'll hit the little green button for OK. We're going to dimension it from here to here. Is 0.150. Do I need that line? I need parts of that line, so we'll leave it there. And then I'm going to offset this line 0.751 to give me another one at the bottom. So I go up to the sketch palette, choose offset. I'm going to choose this line. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to offset at 0.751. So that gives this the square part of the slot. So now we need to do the circles. And the easiest way I know how to do circles is just draw a circle, a center point circle. So we'll do it here, and it's 0.751. And then I'll hit enter, and then I'm going to draw another circle. So we'll go to sketch. I could probably copy it or pattern it, or I'm sure there's a million ways. Mirror it. Mirroring probably. I don't know. Well, we'll just draw another one. This is the way I did it the other time. So, oops. And let's see, I hit enter, so I need to go back and dimension that. So it's 0.751. So there we go. So we have that part. Now we need to dimension it from the ends here. So we have the 0.790, I'm assuming, from either end. So these are assumptions because I don't have this measurement here, this measurement from here to here, or this measurement from here to here. So I'm going to assume, because looking at the picture, they look fairly equal. So, this is where, good drawings help. But this is way better than anything that I found on the internet to do this with, so that's what I'm using. So back to Fusion. So we need to dimension this, so I hit D from this line to this, and see how it wants to pull to the center. So you right click, you pick the tangent, and it'll tell you. So it's 0.790. So it just moves it that 0.790. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, except I'm going to relate it to another dimension. So if one of them changes, they're both going to change. So see how it's wanting to do it there again. So pick the tangent, and instead of clicking in the thing, I'm going to click right here. So it assigned this 25. I'm not sure what the technical word for it is, but it's just a value. So whatever this one is, this one's always going to be. So if I change this one to like 0.9, it changes to 0.9. So I'm going to change it back to 790. So that's right. Now I need to have these pieces sit where they're supposed to sit. There, you see how it's not correct. So I'm going to use what they call constraints. Yeah, constraints. I'm going to use a tangent constraint from here to here, and that locked all that in. And then I'll do the same thing over here, because I overdrew it just a hair too. So that's that. So now we need to get rid of some of the excess that I drew in there, because That's the way I draw. And get rid of that. So now we have just the slot. Oop, we could get rid of this. Now we have just the slot. So now we need to put the slot all the way through the part. You hit Q for press pull, and you hit the arrow button, and we're going to cut it out. So now we have that part cut out. So what else can we do on this part here? Looking at it from this side. I believe that's probably it. So let's switch to this view. I think the back. So let's go back over here to this other drawing that the gentleman sent. So that's the back side. Now, if you were a woodworker or if you were doing a casting, this radius part probably is not too big of a deal. But, excuse me. But for us, a machinist, you know, it's a little tougher. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing, but does it actually need to be like that? Can we just slope it from like a 45-degree angle from up here? It probably can be sloped from up this plane to down here. But, you know, we'll look at this way right here. What I plan to do is probably just drop down a quarter here and go at a, I don't know, what is that, 45-degree angle, maybe something like that. So, see you, Tom. We'll do that, and we'll put a 1/4 inch down here. So let's go back and do that. So let me grab my other drawing so I don't have to flip the screens back and forth. So back to Fusion. So we're going to draw on this back plane, just like right here. So let me hit it left here. All right. So back to this drawing. We know that we have this height, this width here set. This is set. All these are set. This is not here. The height that this boss is set, I don't know that it's actually very important, but we'll probably go ahead and draw that in there. So let's just draw a rough sketch of this part right here. And granted, we're going to come down here a 1/4, and then we'll figure out how this stuff works. Probably just draw a 45 line out here and then see what we end up with. 45-degree cutters, I don't, you know, woodworking, they're plentiful. Machining, not so sure. But I'm sure if Adam's going to do it, or if he's going to scrape it using his shaper, he can set this block in there at a 45 and just, or whatever angle. So it really doesn't matter. So let's go back and we'll do that part of it. So we're on the back plane. If I turn this sideways, you'll see where we're at. So I'm going to start back here. We're going to start another sketch on this plane here. So I just do lines most of the time. There's probably a more technical, correct way to do it, but I am who I am. So, except let me put the lines where they're supposed to go. We'll start here. We'll come out here, 0.610, and then we're going to come from here, line from here down a 1/4 of an inch. So there, those are those two lines. So now I'm going to trace another line here, horizontal line that goes down the 1.763. So I'll do another line, and I'll go from here, I don't know, to about, I can dimension that 1.008. So that's dimension. Now I need to get the dimension from the top part to here, so I'll hit D for dimension. Come out here and put the 1.763. So now we have that part done. This bottom part is 0.684, but if you remember on the other drawing, it was 0.675. So I'm going to use the 0.675 to keep everything pretty much right. So I believe this is probably more correct because it's the part that mates up to the machine. So we'll use it instead of that 0.684. So let's go back to the drawing. Where are we at here? Oh, a line, horizontal line. So from this point, L for line. It tells you if you make them, if you're about to mess up. So I do it all the time. So it's 0.684. Oh, that was supposed to be the upside, so let me delete that. We need a line straight down from here, and then a line from here over to here. Come on, 90 degrees, where are you at? Oops, that wasn't it. So let's highlight that thing and delete it. Draw another line from here. Oh, come on. If you can't do it that way, then I'm just going to draw past and trim the thing. That'll work too. And then the dimension from here to here is 0.684. So I'm a dimension from here to here, 0.684. All right, so now we have it. Let's see. Trying to see some other stuff here. Okay, I knew something didn't look right. I need to take this one here, this 0.273. The way I had it drawn, it was all the way out here. I said, that's not right. How did I get this little offset here? So it's 0.273. So we'll go here, and we're going to dimension this line from here to here, 0.273. Oh, Lordy. Really? So let's back up. It's constrained here. So let's draw a line from here straight down. See, this is when you're not a CAD guru, that you have to work yourself around stuff. So we're going to trim the end of that little thing that I left. Now we're going to dimension it from here to here, 0.273. And you can trim this off. Doesn't need to be there. All right. It give you a little warning, but we remove some constraints, which constraints is really, really good if you're doing some modeling. So once you get it all those lines to turn black, it's locked down and it can't be changed. But for our purposes, this is how I'm going to do it. So now we're going to draw another line from here, I don't know, down this way. And we're going to dimension it with that 45-degree angle. So from here to here, come on. Well, I try. Some things just never work right. From here to here. .45 degrees. So it's going to just project the line. That's fine. So 45 degrees. And then we'll extend that thing all the way out. Wrong button. Just extend that to there. So now we can get rid of all this material here and here. So we're done with that sketch. So we'll hit Q to press pull, and we'll press all that out, and we'll hit, my sketch disappeared, so we'll bring it back, and we'll hit these two right here, and we'll hit Q again, and we'll get rid of all that. So now, coming back around, that's probably all that you would need to make that part. Fully done, ready to go. We can make it pretty, add in the bosses and all that other stuff, but, if you wanted to add like a 1/2-inch boss all the way around it, we would, if you start right here, create an offset. That's what I want to do. I'm sorry, modify and an offset. Where's that thing at? Create, where's the offset command? I thought it was here. Could be wrong. So if we make like a 1/4-inch offset, oops, the wrong way, so we do a minus 1/4-inch offset. So there's that. So if you wanted to make it a 1/4-inch, you can hit Q again for press pull and then move it in, however far you wanted to move it in. We'll have to make that a negative number because we're going the opposite way, but, oh, come on. I don't know why it didn't do that. Never happens on live, always happens on live streams, doesn't it? Let's edit the feature. Oh, got to do a cut, duh. So we're going to do a minus 0.250. Why didn't it do it? So like that, and then of course, you'd want to get rid of this. So the easiest way to do that is to come back to the back, draw another little sketch on this plane from this point straight up. Stop your sketch, hit Q for press pull, and just take it completely away. Like that. So now you have that boss around there. And you can change this, any way you wanted to. You can go back and edit your sketch. That wasn't the right sketch. Must have been this one. Well, whatever sketch that one was. This one? There we go. So we'll edit this and change this to like 0.5. You could do the same thing. Edit it that way. It stops sketch and it'll go ahead and modify exactly what you had. So, there's a bunch of ways to do it. That's that you can get the oops, sorry, wrong camera. That you can work with Fusion to get what you want to get done. Of course, when you're trying to do this live, it's never as good as trying to edit it. So, lessons learned. Lessons learned. When you want to do something live, get your ducks in a row and remember how to do it. So what I'll do is I'll go back here and I'll show you exactly how I did it on this one here. So the good thing about Fusion 360, oh, it helps if you can see though, doesn't it? The good thing about Fusion 360 is it gives you a timeline. This thing here on the bottom, so you can go back and look exactly what you did. So if we go back to this is the second iteration. It'll tell you exactly how I started everything. So I'm going to turn my sketches on as I go. I started with a box. Then I extruded my box and gave it some thickness. Then once I was done with that, I drew another sketch and got rid of that corner. So I drew a rectangle on the corner and dimensioned it. If you open up the sketch, you can see all the dimensions. And then once I was done with that, I got rid of that corner by extruding it or erasing it out of that corner. Then the next step, I drew another sketch. Like I said, we could have probably drawn all these sketches on one sketch and then did a lot of the cutting and joining and getting rid of it in one shot. It's just the way my mind works and the way I did it, so that's the way I did it. So then we got rid of this angled part up here. So now you see the basic shape is starting to take form. And then the next sketch was the slot. And then when I got done with that, I went ahead and got the slot extruded through the part there. And then the next thing was we added the next sketch was on the back part, which is the cutout there. And then again, we would just cut that part out. And the way I drew it is probably the way I would machine it. I might put the slot in there first just because it gives you more holding power while this thing is still a square. But then you have to machine through, a 2-inch part. So, you have to just think about things like that while you're, working on it. And then the next thing, let me back up one, is I drew the 1/2-inch boss that Adam was talking about around the part. So once I did that, then you extrude that part of the drawing out too. Now you have the 1/2-inch boss, but it's got radius ends. And in metalworking, radius can be done, but it's a little harder. So he said something about having them straight, and I said, yeah, we could probably, it shouldn't be a problem. So then I drew this sketch here on the back of the part to get rid of this extra material up here, which you don't really have to get rid of. I mean, going back to this point right here would probably suffice, for what he needs it to do. Is it, you know, if he wants to take it further, you can take it further. So, okay, turn around here. So like I said, then there's the boss, and then the sketch on the back, and we got rid of that material there. And then we did another sketch right here, and that's just so I could square these parts up. He said something about not wanting to radius this. I said, well, we'll just square that up. So you can square it up like that. And that's basically it. So, so that's how that part totally got machined. So I think I'll go ahead and end it there. If anybody has any questions or something like that, feel free to ask. I know Tom does a lot of live streaming from Inspirational Metalworks. Hey, Scott, thank you, man. Little mind numbing sometimes, doing this stuff and talking and trying to get it done and then hopefully not screw up. But you know how it goes. Um, I was going to show Tom, since he might come back and look at this. I was wanting him he could take a look at my streaming setup, because he does some live streaming too. So just a modest little setup. So Tom, thought I'd let you show it to you. But anyway, let's see. Let's go back to that shot. And I reckon we'll go ahead and call it a night. Um, Hope everybody, you enjoy your weekends. Um, um, until next time, we'll keep on doing this. I don't know about live stream anymore. So, but next time, we'll see you. Good night. Good night, Gary.